137 meters long, 50,000 tons of displacement, designed to survive 30-meter killer waves. And it was built over 4,000 years ago.
The lower deck is
No
almost
power
complete.
tools, no structural steel, no hydraulic cranes. Just one man, his family, and a blueprint that appeared to defy every known law of Bronze Age physics. For centuries, the academic elite and the casual skeptic alike have laughed at Noah's Ark. They've dismissed it as a Sunday school cartoon, a whimsical boat with a rainbow and a pair of giraffes. They called it a physical impossibility, a story meant for children, not engineers. But then, the world of naval architecture decided to stop laughing and start calculating. When researchers at the Korea Research Institute of Ships and Ocean Engineering, men who designed the supertankers of the 21st century, plugged the biblical dimensions into their most advanced simulation software, the results sent shockwaves through the scientific community. What they discovered wasn't a myth. It was a masterclass in fluid dynamics. It was a vessel so precisely optimized that modern science has nothing to add to its perfection. Today, we are peeling back the layers of the greatest engineering mystery in human history. Forget the fables. We are going inside the hull. We are decoding the Gopher Wood mystery. We are solving the how, the why, and the what. This is the real evidence of Noah's Ark. The anatomy of survival. How, what, and why. The mathematical signature. The 6-to-1 ratio. The what. In the ancient text of Genesis 6:15, the Creator gives Noah a specific set of numbers. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. To the casual reader, these are just numbers. To a naval architect, this is a formula for survival. When we translate the Royal Egyptian cubit, the 20.6-inch standard used in the construction of the Great Pyramids, we find a vessel approximately 137 meters, 450 feet long, 23 meters wide, and 14 meters high. To visualize the scale, that is longer than a Boeing 747, wider than a professional football field, and as tall as a 4-story building. Its total volume exceeded 40,000 cubic meters, enough space to hold 450 standard semi-truck trailers. But the genius lies in the ratio of 6-to-1 to 0.6.
The Gopher Wood will not sag.
In shipbuilding, you are constantly fighting a three-way war between stability, comfort, and strength. 1. Stability. If a ship is too wide, like a saucer, it is stable but rides rough. The violent rocking in heavy seas would snap the internal beams and injure every living thing inside. 2. Speed/agility. If it's too narrow, like a racing shell, it's fast but unstable. It would capsize, turning belly up the moment a crosswave hit the hull.
It will be
3.
perfect for the main
Strength.
beam.
Indeed.
If the proportions are off, the
to
ship
move it.
will hog or sag, bending like a dry twig until it snaps in the middle. The 6-to-1 ratio is the golden mean. It is the perfect equilibrium where the ship is stable enough to never capsize, yet flexible enough to absorb the impact of the ocean. How do we know this is the divine ratio? Because modern supertankers, bulk carriers, and even the Great Eastern, the largest ship of the 19th century, use virtually the exact same proportions. In 1993, Dr. Seon-Won Hong and his team ran simulations against 12 alternative hull designs. They changed the length, the width, and the depth. The result? The biblical dimensions achieved the highest safety index of any design tested. It could withstand waves up to 30 meters high. It could tilt nearly 90 degrees, and, unlike any other ship, it would automatically right itself. Noah wasn't a sailor, but he possessed a blueprint from the one who authored the laws of buoyancy. Gopher Wood, the ancient composite revolution. The how. Genesis 6:14 contains a command that has baffled linguists for 3 millennia. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. The word gopher is what scholars call a hapax legomenon. It appears only once in the entire Bible. For years, translators guessed it meant cypress or cedar. But modern forensic engineering suggests we've been asking the wrong question. What if gopher isn't a type of tree, but a technology? There are 3 compelling theories supported by archaeological context. Theory A, cross-lamination. Recent research into ancient woodworking suggests Noah may have used laminated wood, the precursor to modern plywood. By bonding thin layers of timber with the grain running in opposite directions, you create a material with unparalleled structural rigidity. It eliminates knots and natural weak points, creating dumb beams stronger than any solid trunk could ever provide. Theory B, the bitumen armor. The Bible specifies coating the ark inside and out with pitch. In Hebrew, the word is kopher, bitumen or natural tar. We know from archaeological sites in the Near East, Genesis 14 mentions tar pits, that bitumen was the superglue of the ancient world. By sandwiching the wood in tar, Noah created a composite hull. The wood provided the elastic skeleton, and the bitumen provided a waterproof, armored skin. This skin didn't just keep water out. It protected the wood from shipworms, the microscopic parasites that have destroyed more wooden fleets than all the naval battles in history.
The pitch holds
The Ark
firm.
was a 137-meter sealed survival pod wrapped in waterproof armor. The mystery of the Sohar, the ventilation engine, the why. One of the most frequent questions skeptics ask is, how did 16,000 animals survive for a year in a sealed box without suffocating from their own waste? The answer is hidden in Genesis 6:16. Make a Sohar for the ark and finish it to a cubit from above. Most translations call this a window, but the Hebrew word for window is kalon. Sohar is different. Its root means shining, noonlight, or brightness. Naval architects now believe the Sohar wasn't a small window, but a continuous 18-inch opening running the entire 450-foot length of the ship, just below the roofline. The stack effect. Thousands of animals generate massive amounts of body heat and methane. As hot air rises, it flows upward through the 3 decks and exits through the Sohar gap. Negative pressure. As the hot air escapes the top, it creates negative pressure, pulling fresh, oxygen-rich air in through lower openings, or the hull's natural breathing.
The joints are
The
swelling
moon
tight,
pool
Father.
theory.
It grows stronger
Some
with the
researchers
rain.
propose a central shaft, a moon pool, open to the sea at the bottom. As the ark crested waves, the water inside the shaft would rise and fall like a giant piston, mechanically pumping air throughout the lower decks where it was needed most. The Ark wasn't just a boat. It was a living, breathing organism, powered by the very ocean
See to
that
the
was trying to
ventilation in this
destroy it.
section. The air is
Joinery versus the Wyoming failure. The how. Skeptics often point to the USS Wyoming, a 100-meter wooden schooner built in 1909. Despite 20th century technology, the Wyoming leaked constantly and eventually sank because the wooden hull couldn't handle the stress of the waves. They argue, if we couldn't do it in 1909, Noah couldn't do it in 2500 BC. But the comparison is flawed. The Wyoming had 6 massive masts. Every gust of wind acted as a giant lever, twisting the hull and opening the seams. The Ark had no masts, no sails, and no rudder. It didn't need to go anywhere. It only needed to prevail. Furthermore, Noah likely used mortise and tenon joinery. Instead of iron nails that rust and loosen, ancient shipbuilders carved slots into planks, inserted wooden tongues, and locked them with pegs. The genius of wood. When wood gets wet, it swells. In a mortise and tenon joint, the swelling causes the planks to lock together with a force that no iron nail can match. The more it rained and the more the sea assaulted the ship, the tighter and stronger the ark became.
Almost there.
The logistics of an impossible task. The how. Beyond the hull and the ventilation, we must address the sheer managerial scale of the project.
We need more ropes for
Conservative estimates suggest Noah had to manage roughly 16,000 animals, categorized by kinds rather than modern species. For 371 days, over a full year, 8 humans had to maintain this biological cargo without electricity, running water, or a modern waste disposal system. How is this possible? Ancient metallurgy, as noted in Genesis 4:22, suggests that Noah's lineage, descendants of Tubal-Cain, possessed sophisticated tools of bronze and iron. Noah wasn't building with sticks and stones. He was the heir to millennia of accumulated technological knowledge. Gravity-fed systems. It is highly probable that the Ark utilized sloped floors and waste gutters leading to the central moon pool. The power of dormancy. Many biologists suggest that in a high-stress, low-light environment, many animals enter a state of semi-torpor or hibernation, drastically reducing the need for food and waste management. Noah didn't just build a boat. He designed a self-sustaining ecosystem. This was a floating laboratory of biological preservation, managed with the precision of a modern logistics firm. The Ark is not merely a relic of the past, it is a masterclass in life governance. Whether you are a believer or a seeker of wisdom, the construction of this vessel offers a blueprint for navigating the great floods of the 21st century.
We are running low on the dried figs.
The architecture of obedience.
I have it noted here. We should have enough
in
for
the
next
spiritual
month.
life, we often want to negotiate the dimensions. We want a ship that is faster or a hull that looks more modern. But Noah teaches us that divine protection is found in the details.
This way, up the ramp. Do not
Trust
delay.
the engineer, not the weather. Noah spent decades building a ship for a flood that had no precedent. Faith is not blind. It is the calculated decision to follow a higher design, even when the clouds are nowhere to be seen. The integrity of the pitch. If Noah had left a single square inch of the hull unsealed, the entire mission would have failed.
Steady.
In your
Get these
character,
gates secured.
the small leaks,
go to the upper
the
level,
compromises,
quickly now.
the little white lies
Move along
are
there.
what
To the
sink
right,
the ship
quickly now.
when the pressure rises.
Make way for the lions.
Total protection requires total integrity. For the leader, building for the Black Swan event. In modern management, a black swan is an unpredictable event with catastrophic consequences. The Ark is the ultimate example of proactive governance. The stability of the 6-to-1 ratio. In your business or your family, are you building for speed or for stability? Many people build V-shaped lives, sleek, fast, and impressive, but they capsize the moment the market crashes or a health crisis hits. The Ark reminds us that a rectangular foundation, built on core values and long-term sustainability, is the only thing that survives a total system collapse. The Sohar principle. Every organization needs a ventilation system. You must have a way to vent the toxicity of stress and inhale new ideas. If your life or your company is a sealed box, you will suffocate from the inside out long before the waves hit. The final verdict. the covenant in the storm. Genesis 7:11 tells us that this wasn't just a rainstorm. It was a geological upheaval. The fountains of the great deep burst forth. This was a world being torn apart by tsunamis and tectonic shifts. Any other vessel would have been crushed. Any other design would have snapped. But inside that pitch-black hull, 8 people and thousands of animals rode out the end of a world. The hull held. The joints tightened. The ventilation flowed. Not because Noah was lucky, not because the story is an exaggeration, but because the engineering was perfect. 4,300 years later, when we ran the numbers, we found exactly what Genesis told us all along. A design so sophisticated that modern naval architecture has nothing to add. What the skeptics called impossible, science now calls a masterpiece. What the critics dismissed as myth, engineers now study as a model. The Ark was more than a boat. It was a covenant made physical. It was a promise you could touch, built by a man who provided the obedience while God provided the blueprint. Together, they achieved what neither could do alone. That is the pattern for every impossible task you will ever face. Divine design plus human dedication equals unstoppable results. The rain has stopped. The rainbow is in the sky. But the lessons of the Ark remain. Noah didn't wait for the rain to start gathering his timber.
Easy now,
He built while the sun was
The
shining.
Lord protects us.
The question is, what are you building? Are you following the golden ratio of truth and integrity? Or are you drifting in a vessel that wasn't designed for the storm? Comment below. Which engineering detail surprised you most? Was it the self-tightening wooden joints or the passive ventilation system? I read every single comment. Let's start a conversation. Share the evidence. If this video gave you a new perspective on the intersection of science and faith, share it with someone who thinks the Bible is just a book of fables. Let the math speak for itself. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. In our next episode, we are going deep into the Temple of Solomon. What engineers discovered in the foundations of that structure is even more shocking than the Ark. Noah finished his task. Now, it's time to start yours. Stay curious, stay grounded, and keep building.